A teenager lies about their age at a party. They look older. They act older. They tell everyone they're 18. Someone believes them. And the next day, that someone is facing a criminal charge that could change their life forever. Most people think the age of consent is simple, a single number, a clear rule. But the truth is, it's far more complicated. Different countries set different ages. Some allow exceptions. Some don't allow any exceptions. And in some places, even an honest mistake can still lead to a conviction. So where did these laws come from? Why are they so different around the world? And how does the law decide what counts as a reasonable belief? Let's break it down. To understand the age of consent, we need to go back in time. In the late 19th century, some countries had an age of consent as low as 12. Not because anyone believed 12-year-olds were capable of meaningful consent, but because the law was tied to marriage, property, and social norms, not protection. Reform movements began pushing to raise the age. Newspapers published stories about young people being exploited in workplaces and social settings where they had no power to refuse. Public outrage grew, and slowly the law changed. Modern age of consent laws are built on a different foundation. The idea that minors cannot meaningfully consent because they lack emotional maturity, cognitive development, the ability to assess risk, and the power to say no to adults. Consent isn't just about saying yes, it's about having the capacity to understand what you're agreeing to. That's why every modern legal system draws a line, a minimum age below which consent is legally impossible. But here's where things get complicated. There is no universal age of consent. Today, it's 16 in places like the UK and many Australian states. It's 17 in some parts of the United States. It's 18 in others. Some European countries set it at 14 or 15, but with strict rules about age differences or positions of authority. Why the variation? Because different societies balance protection and autonomy differently. For example, a country might set the age at 16, but allow a close-in age exception. So a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old aren't treated the same as a 20-year-old and a 15-year-old. Another country might set the age at 18, but lower it to 16 if both people are teenagers. Some countries have multiple ages, depending on the type of conduct, the age difference, and whether one person is in a position of authority. And here's a surprising fact. Some jurisdictions have different ages, depending on whether the older person is a teacher, coach, or supervisor, because the power imbalance makes true consent impossible. So when people ask, why isn't the age of consent the same everywhere? The answer is simple. Different societies draw the line in different places. Now we get to one of the most misunderstood parts of the law. In many jurisdictions, an accused person can argue they honestly and reasonably believed the other person was above the legal age. But this defense isn't automatic. Courts look very closely at the circumstances. Here's a simple example. Imagine someone meets a person at a public event. They appear to be around 18. They behave like an adult. They say they're 18. They're with friends who are all adults. Nothing about the situation raises suspicion. In some jurisdictions, that could support an honest and reasonable belief. But now imagine a different scenario. The person avoids answering questions about their age. Their appearance suggests they might be younger. Their behavior seems inconsistent. Or the accused never asked any questions at all. In that situation, courts are far less likely to accept the defense. And here's another surprising fact. Some countries completely ban this defense for younger minors, meaning even a genuine, reasonable mistake is not a defense at all. The law tries to balance two things: protecting young people against avoiding wrongful convictions when someone genuinely made a reasonable mistake. It's a difficult balance, and courts treat it very seriously. Another common question is whether the law treats male and female offenders differently. Legally, in most modern jurisdictions, the answer is no. The law is written to be gender neutral. Offences are defined by conduct, not by who commits them. For example, if a 25-year-old engages in conduct with someone below the legal age, the offence is the same whether the older person is male or female. Courts focus on harm, vulnerability, power imbalance, the age of the young person, and the seriousness of the conduct. Gender does not change the legal definition of the offence, and sentencing principles apply equally to everyone. So what's the takeaway? Age of consent laws exist to protect young people from exploitation. Different countries set different ages because they balance protection and autonomy in different ways. The honest and mistaken belief defense is tightly controlled and sometimes not allowed at all. And modern laws apply equally, regardless of gender. These laws affect teenagers, parents, teachers, and anyone navigating modern relationships. And understanding them isn't just about knowing the rules. It's about understanding how the law protects the most vulnerable among us. If you want more clear and simple explanations of the law, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.